I took quite a long trip a few weeks ago, and I'm running on autopilot. Probably I was on autopilot 90% of the time while I was on the highway. And I was watching autopilot do what it does and trying to understand when it did things that didn't appear to make any sense. And I've found since I've looked at these things and I looked over the video from the drive, there are some cases where I think autopilot just made mistakes, but there are a number of cases where it found things that I did not see. Now in this video, I'm coming up on a truck. Now notice this truck, not the one right to the right, but the one in front of me, and I've moved over into the left lane to pass this truck. It's carrying equipment. Now let's see what happens when I come up right next to this truck. Okay, you can see that equipment on the truck. Now it's wheeled equipment, and I couldn't figure out what was going on and why it was freaking out and saying there's something terrible, because he was in his lane and everything, but that equipment may have fooled autopilot, thinking it's some kind of car or other vehicle. Now that's the only thing I can come up with that would make it do that. I do have another instance that is kind of similar that I think I'll show you also, and maybe it'll illustrate it as well as this does. But I think the neural networks are just not reading that correctly because they probably haven't seen it enough times. Now this one here, I'm coming up behind a vehicle. It's actually kind of a car hauler, not a regular car hauler, but it's similar. And there's a vehicle on the back. Now I'm coming up to pass, and this is a little bit hard to tell what happened here, but it's something I noticed right as we got to the very back of this thing. Now it's pretty hard to tell, but right then autopilot put some fairly heavy braking on. It didn't start hollering at me or anything, but it did put the braking on. And what I think it was doing is that pickup in the back of the car hauler is it's got some junk tied down the back and stuff like that. It may have assumed that was a car. I could say flying through the air, probably not, but I don't think it recognized that it's something that fit the neural net. So it did hit the brakes there, one of those, quote, phantom braking things that aren't always phantom. Okay, this one here, we're coming up behind a truck, and as we get close to the truck, I find that all of a sudden the brakes go on, and again this phantom braking thing. But I think before we get too rambunctious about the phantom braking, we should maybe look at some of the signs leading up to this. Note we're looking at a left lane end sign. Now this extra smart driver behind the wheel of this Tesla did not really notice that thing. And if you look close, you can see the car slow down right as he got to the back end of that truck. Then we look at another sign up here that's telling me my lane is going away. And right at this point, Tesla starts slowing me down. The lesson here is maybe autopilot knows what it's talking about because it noticed the reduction in lanes before I did. Plus we had a really nice truck driver that pulled over in the other lane rather courteously. Now this last one, this is one of my merge videos. I've done several of these before, and Autopilot seems to be a little bit squirrely here. Sometimes it does a very good job, sometimes it doesn't. But you can see this merge up here, which is going to go beautifully. You can see that car over on the right, and there's another car behind it. And Autopilot just fits us in between the two. Does a very good job. So let's watch this. Okay, over on the right, you'll see a car coming up there. That car is a little ahead, and it's going to go ahead of me, which is the way it should do. Autopilot slows down a little bit. Now behind, there's another car right there that moves in. He's not terribly close or anything, but he moves in right behind me as he should. Now, the next thing we're going to do is go up about a half a mile, and we'll see another little incident. Now here we are, half mile up. There's a car back there. He's not a problem. But look over there. There's a car right there. And now that car, it's actually going slower, and it's behind me a little ways. Not much. But Autopilot slowed down at that point. And that's giving that driver some crazy feedback, because he's really expecting me to continue on at the higher speed, and Autopilot's throwing him a slowdown. So you can see at the end of this thing, I just take off and get out of the way. I took over and got out of the way. I think Autopilot blew that one big time. So tell me what your thoughts are on these incidents, and see if you agree with me or you think there's something else going on. That's it on this one.